I have recently received an email from someone, and some of you do reach out via email. I don't mind. So I'm just going to read this out. It says, Dear Sha, I've been a long time follower of your work on forensic psychology and when blah, blah, yeah, okay. And I'm reaching out because I feel like I'm losing my mind at my current job. I work in a high stakes environment where one specific female senior lead seems to have it out for me. It started small, but now it's reached a point of constant public humiliation. In every team meeting, she finds a way to correct me, and she put quote marks over correct. Correct me on things she knows I'm an expert in, just to make it look like I'm incompetent in front of our directors. The worst part is the manipulation of my colleagues. She has suddenly become best friends, quote marks, with one person I've had a documented HR conflict with in the past. It feels like she's building an army against me. Wow. I've watched her exploit younger staff members just to get dirt, and she's put quote marks around that, on my personal life. And this is why you shouldn't tell people anything around my personal life. And her impulse is terrifying. One minute she's concerned, quote marks, about my workload. And the next minute she's sending scathing emails, CCing in the entire department over a typo. I look around and my coworkers just sit there. Well, this is how it was typed out. I look around and my coworkers just, and then ... sit there. They see it happening and do nothing. It's like they've been brainwashed into thinking I'm the problem, or they're just too scared to be next. Anyway, I'm going to skip over that. Could you please do a deep dive into female narcissists in the workplace, especially how they use mobbing and grouping, okay, and why everyone I think she means, yes, okay, how they use mobbing and grouping and why everyone else stays silent while they beat you down and attack you. I need to know if there is a clinical explanation for her behavior and how to survive it. Best regards, a struggling professional. When I read this the other day, it feels different from me reading it now. I do get emails from people, and this recent email from a subscriber, it perfectly encapsulates the forensic reality of the female narcissist at work. And there is some research around male narcissists and female narcissists, but this person describes a slow motion train wreck, pretty much, of this public demeaning and social isolation, where she talks about the grouping and things like that. So that's interesting. So yes, I'm going to do a deep dive into this. So thank you so much for the email, and thank you for your continued support. I'm glad that this is resonating with you. So let's dive in. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe here on YouTube. And if you're listening on Apple or Spotify, tap auto download so new episodes are ready for you every time they drop. Now, let's dive in. You may think that you're dealing with a difficult personality. You think it's just office politics or a demanding friend, but there is a very specific type of psychological predator, one that doesn't use physical force, but social destruction. In my years of dealing with complex needs, personality disorders forensically, I've seen how the female narcissist operates. She doesn't just want to win, she wants to leave by making other people hate you, making other people doubt your abilities, and collectively gathering around her people who aren't smart enough, astute enough, or spiritually aware enough to make a decision about someone's character based on what they see, not what she tells them. Today, we're going beyond the surface. We are looking at 10 clinical signs of the female narcissist, backed by the DSM-5 TR and forensic psychology.
Never miss a show by clicking the subscribe button right now. Thank you for your support. You make this podcast possible. Now, back to the show.
Before we deconstruct these 10 signs, I have a new resource for you. If you're currently in a situation, a work situation or home situation where you feel isolated, gaslit, or targeted at home or at work, download my Narcissist Detection Checklist. It's a research-based tool that I've just put together to help you to document patterns objectively. You can find it at the link in the description. Now, let's be clear. The DSM-5 TR defines narcissistic personality disorder through a pervasive pattern of grandiosity, need for admiration, and lack of empathy. And this is where some people get this wrong. But in a forensic and clinical context, we see how these traits manifest as high-level manipulation and even mobbing. So let's get into the list. However, I do want to say there are nuances to this that most clinicians or people, let's say people who normally just work as a therapist, who has no deep training in personality disorders or no real experience dealing one-to-one for a long period of time with them at all. I was very lucky to get my training, and I worked in 2 specialist hospitals with forensic teams specifically dealing with these patterns. And so I can spot them immediately. Now, sometimes I haven't listened to my intuition as well, and have just dived into things. And it's all been to my detriment. But this is one of the reasons why I wanted to do this list, because I do see a lot of people who think because they've got some training, maybe they did a degree in, I don't know, psychology, or maybe they have a counseling degree, or maybe they did psychotherapy, and they think they know what they're doing or talking about. But I can tell you that this is so nuanced, it's so niche, that they will not have the experience and they won't know how to deal with it. There can often also be cultural issues here, whereby people will side with someone simply for one reason, and that is because they're the same culture. They could be a criminal, they could be accused of heinous crimes or things, they could be a horrible person, but simply because they share some type of cultural connection. It could be anything. It could be race, religion, living in the same proximity. They could be a relative. They will side with the person. And this is a phenomenon, but we know why. In fact, I am in the middle of writing a clinical paper about it. So let's get into the 10 signs. This is a deep dive. So bear with me, because I'm going to go into areas that you just wouldn't believe, but I hope that it opens your mind. So number 1, public humiliation as a power tool. Now, most people miss this completely. They think because someone is correcting you in an email trail, that that person is trying to help other people or trying to help the person they're attacking in the email. This is a power play by a narcissist. Only narcissists will publicly do this. Anyone else will do it privately or separately. Why? Because a regular person, someone that doesn't suffer from extreme narcissism, would not wish to in any way humiliate someone or attempt to or try to publicly shame the person. Now, let me define this. Publicly shame would be attempting to diminish someone else's abilities, their training, their expertise, and their clinical guidance or what they can bring to the table according to their expertise. Narcissists are very envious people, and that's very different from jealousy. I did a video on the difference between the two. I will link it here below. But narcissists suffer from envy. Now, in my experience, forensically, I have had to visit people who are in prison because they were envious, because they did something so harmful to someone because of envy. So I've seen envy go terribly wrong. I've also seen people lose court cases, companies lose court cases because they did not step in when someone was being bullied and harassed so badly that the person ended up harming themselves in a detrimental way. And you know what I mean by that. They were no longer here. A couple of these cases have made it to the press, but I personally know of two where that has happened to someone. And I can tell you that bullying and harassment from a narcissist, because narcissists, when they bully and harass, is very different from a childhood playground. An adult female narcissist, especially, will be fueled by a fire that we'll have to go into later. But public humiliation is a power tool that they use. So watch how they speak to you. Watch any emails or written information that comes through. If it seeks to constantly correct someone, constantly try and make the person appear as though they don't know what they're doing. I shouldn't laugh, but I laugh because it's so obvious. And so many people, if they do see it and they are choosing to do nothing, then that says a lot about them and their character. And it's usually the people who hold some type of office or I would say a position of prestige that choose to do nothing. And it's incredible, but they do. So in a forensic setting, we see a specific trait, and this need to appear superior by devaluing peers is common in a female narcissist. Unlike the male narcissist who may boast, may be loud, or may attempt to write all these accolades about themselves, the female narcissist will use public humiliation. She will wait for a group setting. This can be an email list. This can be a meeting to correct you on a minor point or bring up a failure under the guise of helping. This is where this deep manipulation comes in. Research, there is research around this. Research in the Journal of Research and Personality shows that this is about self-enhancement through derogation. It's very common. The female narcissist needs to know more than you. They need to appear to know more than you or be better than you. That's how weak they are. That's how damaged they are. And the female narcissist needs the audience to see it. So they will work in private as well. There'll be lots of out of hours meetings, phone calls, all that stuff will be text, all that will be going on. And they'll be meeting outside with people they either used to work with or used to know or something like that. People they haven't yet fallen out with, because make no mistake, the female narcissist will not get along with a lot of people at all. They will only be able to get along with people they can control. And this is where their mobbing comes in, and we're going to touch upon that. So public humiliation. Now, this can be email. Email is huge, especially at work. I remember there was a case once I was reading about where there was a whole trail of things, and people just looked over it, and each email showed how this female narcissist was just degrading, publicly humiliating, constantly correcting the other person, that they were jealous of. They were envious of this other person. And envy doesn't really have a rhyme or reason. It only has a reason through the narcissist. They will be envious because that person that they're envious of has something that they don't. And the narcissist is usually quite miserable person. Quite miserable. And they also don't have a lot of their own personality. It may appear that they have, but everything they do and are is from someone else. And you may say, oh, well, that's normal. Family, you pick up things. No, this is different. The narcissist can meet someone and then immediately start copying them. Their mannerisms, their gestures, how they speak, what they say. They will steal because it is stealing. We had a huge forensic meeting about this once in one of the specialist teams. How narcissists, if we look at IP, intellectual property, narcissists would sit at the top of that scale for blue collar crime, we were saying, because they steal constantly. They try and hijack your identity, who you are. All of a sudden, they've changed to be like you. And it's incredible. They hate you, but they want to be you. And this reminds me of the movie Mean Girls, whereby was Lindsay Lohan's character says, "It's not my fault. You're in love with me," or something like that. And as we know, well, in psychotherapy, there's a very thin line between love and hate. And the female narcissist clearly has problems with that. And this usually, I'm afraid, in my experience, comes from a parental lack of attention. There was something preoccupied. A lot of times it's substances, or culturally, it could be other things. There are many things that come up and happen, but something happened with this female narcissist in their life, which is not your problem, not my problem, not anyone's problem, but theirs. But it's when we look at projection, and I hear people who have trained as a therapist talk about projection. I've heard somebody mention splitting and didn't have a clue what it was really about. They must have read a definition, but when they tried to talk about it, it made no sense whatsoever. Absolutely no sense. So many people use these terms and phrases and haven't a clue. And this is the case. The female narcissist will be lacking. And the people who will side by the female narcissist are usually the same. They're usually narcissists as well. Or they've had a narcissistic mother. It's usually a mother figure. There's so much research around this. Right. Because I get very passionate about it all. Before I move on to 2, I will also add that because people often say to me, and a lot of you connect with me via the email. You don't leave comments in YouTube. And one of you said it's because you don't want people to know what you're writing about. I do understand that. So I don't mind. You can write to me. It doesn't mind. All emails are filtered through by JD. And so I will get the emails, but I'm happy to correspond. But one of you said, well, what do I do about it? Well, exactly. Well, what you do about it is you can answer back. You can answer back. You can answer back. There's nothing wrong with that. What the narcissist is banking on trying to get you to do is come out of your character. That's what they want you to do so that they can uphold this narrative that they're telling other people that you're the problem. So that's what they're trying to do. But you can answer back. You can be snarky. You can say whatever you want back as long as you own it. And as long as it's in the perimeters of what they do. The narcissist is not allowed to abuse you or publicly humiliate you as a power play without you responding. You can respond. If someone is constantly speaking to you or writing to you and putting the other team in, or even just to you, downgrading your expertise, your knowledge, querying, bringing into question your character or what you know or what you do, you have a legal right to respond. And if anyone says to you, well, you were being rude or you were being this, you have documentation of how that person was rude. And you can, it's not tit for tat, it's not that, but you can answer in a way that is aligned with who you are, how you speak, and what you would do, even if it's in a joking manner. You're allowed to do that. And if someone says to you, especially if they're in a management position, if they say to you that you're not allowed to do that, then that's evidence as well that they are colluding with the narcissist. So hurrah, you've got more evidence.
Never miss a show by clicking the subscribe button right now. Thank you for your support. You make this podcast possible. Now, back to the show.
Let's move on to number 2. Number 2 is the second way, the second sign that you're dealing with a female narcissist is strategic triangulation. Now, this is another term. People just don't know what they're talking about. And this is befriending your enemy. So this is a sophisticated manipulation tactic. And I chuckle there a bit because a narcissist is not sophisticated in the least. However, I'm using that word because it's such a power play. It's Machiavellian. So at work, if the female narcissist knows that you have let's say for example, let's say the female narcissist thinks that you have a strained relationship with another work colleague. Let's just say they think that because they don't know, but that's what they think. And even if they think they know, even if they've got evidence of that, the narcissist will not stay neutral. They will not stay neutral. The female narcissist will deliberately befriend that person for one reason and one reason only. And most of you already know, the ones that know, they will seek to befriend the person, the colleague that you think or that they think their target has a strained relationship with, just to get at the target. So it's another way to try and beat down their target, the person they're bullying, the person they're harassing. The female narcissist is not looking for a friend. What they're always, with every breath they take, they're always looking for a weapon. Narcissists harm people. Do we need to say it again? Narcissists harm people. Narcissists harm people. By aligning with your adversaries, the narcissist gains intel and ensures that you have no allies. That is the goal. The only reason why they would befriend or try and soothe and pretend that they like a person and be all kind and everything to a person is because they think that you, the target, doesn't get on with that person, and they will use that person as a weapon to beat you down with. They think that you will feel bad that they're getting on with the person. So it's twofold. That's one part. And the second part is they think that other people will be thinking, oh, well, you see, it must be you, must be the target, must be your problem. Because look, that narcissist, or they won't say narcissist, but that person gets on with this person. By aligning with your adversaries, they gain intel. So they'll start talking, and they try and ensure that you've got no allies. The other thing they will look out for is they will be on high alert for people you appear to get on with. So if they see you talking to someone, to a colleague, very relaxed, very nice, they may seek out, they will seek, depending on the person that you, the target, is speaking to, but they will usually seek to ruin that. They will seek to befriend that person. They'll talk bad about you, the target. They'll try and get that person on their side to alienate you. The narcissist does not want you to have any allies. They need you to die. They want you to lose out. They want you to go away. They do not want you to exist. That's how disturbed a female narcissist, well, any narcissist is. They do not want you to be around. It will bother them. And this is what psychologists call relational aggression. I refer to this in one of my recent videos. It's using social networks to isolate a target. Classic. But it's a sophisticated manipulation because if you are not aware, you won't see it. You'll just think, oh, that person likes me, the narcissist. Oh, they're my friend. When actually you're being used. You are being used. And that person who they think you don't get on with is being used. And they, especially if they're a younger person, they will be none the wiser. They may too think, oh, you must be the problem because look, they're so nice. They're so kind. When I'm afraid you are being used. You're being used. You're being used. It's so clear. And people aren't aware of it. But this is relational aggression. So they will use all social. The narcissist would not be able to bear you having good relationships with people. They can't bear it. They can't bear it because it's another representation of them lacking. Their relationships are strained. And they don't like, essentially, they don't like people. They may know people, but they will be the ones with the power over the person. And you'll see this a lot in mobs. People are weak. They're weak. And they just go with it. And again, culture can come into it. So they may just partner with people and agree with them just because they're in the same culture. And this is very common. But it is a psychological problem. It's a systemic one as well as a cultural one. If you're into living with purpose, clarity, and soul, the Aligned Living newsletter is exactly what you need. I am genuinely obsessed with creating it. Every week, I share strategies that work, drawn from close to 30 years as a therapist and soulful living being, plus powerful insights into spiritual and personal growth. You'll get access to free resources like the Self-Alignment Journal, e-courses to support your growth and journey, guided meditations, discounts on events and courses, and tools to help you shift your energy, habits, and mindset, all free when you sign up. I am building this with heart and honesty, and I'd love for you to be a part of it. Head to the link in the show notes and join me today. Number 3, exploitation for proxy attacks. Now, let me explain, because, when I was writing up my notes, especially when I wrote the word proxy, I thought, I don't want to use these terms, but I have to. So the DSM criterion 6 is interpersonally exploitative. Clinically, this manifests as, shall we say, it's using others to get to the victim. And yes, it's similar to before, but using others, so in proximity, by proxy. So the female narcissist will exploit a mutual friend's kindness or a junior employee's ambition to relay messages or dig for information. So she keeps her hands clean then while someone else does the dirty work of bothering or undermining you. So now you have to be aware of this, because if you have a manager who is a female narcissist, they'll be colluding with your colleague who's a narcissist as well. And that manager's narcissism will come from usually a mother. Usually it's always a female figure. There's research around this. Look it up. So it will come through a female. And so they will be colluding with that person. And so they won't want to call it out. They'll just let the person do whatever they want because they gain joy and pleasure from seeing you. They think they see you suffer. That's what they think. And they will take pleasure in that. And it's usually because that's what they grew up seeing. People hurt people. And they will be hurting you, trying to hurt you if you let them. But this is how, so the person over the narcissist will also be a narcissist, and they will try and get the narcissist to keep going at you. Just keep doing it because, and they'll be trying to get information. Now, as you know, you must never feed the narcissist anything you don't want anyone to know, because a narcissist cannot keep their mouth shut, number one. And be careful of people who always tell everything. If you are sat across or next to someone who you tell them something and before you know it, they're telling somebody else, that's not a trustworthy person. We call that leakage in therapy, and it's dangerous, not just to you, but for them. People don't need to tell everything. There is such a thing as keeping confidences. It used to be revered. Now people find it difficult to do that. And if you sense that someone is like that, do not tell them anything. What you mustn't ever do is tell the narcissist anything about you. They'll be looking you up. They'll be looking you up online. That's fine. You're online. But don't tell them anything else. A, they don't have the privilege of knowing. And don't tell the person over them anything either. They will also be a gossip and somebody trying to ruin your life. So that's number 3, exploitation for proxy attacks. So whoever's next to you, aligned with you, so they'll exploit a mutual friend. So let's say you both know somebody at work. Let's say this is a work situation. I'm going to use a family one too. But let's say you both know somebody at work. And yes, you both get on with them. Now, they'll catch that person on. They'll look to catch the person on their own so that they can try and manipulate them into believing that you, the victim, because you are a victim. If you're being harassed and bullied, you are indeed a victim. You're a victim of abuse. I don't know why people are afraid to use the word victim. It's there for a reason. And if you are being attacked, you are a victim. There's nothing wrong with that. That's what you are. And there's ways to recover from that. But the narcissist will keep their hands clean while somebody else does the dirty work. This is why I hesitated to call it sophisticated, but it is sophisticated. I would prefer the word, it's a complicated manipulation tactic, just like strategic triangulation, befriending your enemies. We'll move on to number 4, which is the impulsivity paradox. So narcissists suffer from lack of being able to, they cannot control their impulses. And if you are very aware as well, psychopathy also has that trait. Psychopaths have impulses that they're unable to control. And I have watched a female narcissist literally lose it because they were not able to control their response. I've watched them shake while speaking. That's how angry they were. I've heard them raise their voices because that's what they cannot do. They cannot control themselves. And I've seen them pathologically lie and gaslight because they have an impulse to do so. This is how they survived their upbringing. But it's not your job to feel bad or sorry for them. Everybody has something they've dealt with. This is not your problem. They're an adult. While they can be calculated, female narcissists often suffer from impaired inhibitory control. Same thing. So when their narcissistic supply, I'm sure you've heard that before, their admiration is cut off. So what they want you to do is admire them. They want you to praise them. They need you to praise them. When that's cut off, or if you're someone who just treats people the same, who doesn't treat people in power, any special, or, everybody's treated with respect and dignity. That's it. But if you're someone who doesn't bow down to them, who doesn't see them as the be-all, end-all, if that's cut off, they often act impulsively. They shout, they scream, they will behave in a particular way, they'll gossip, they'll lose it. They will literally lose it. And this could be sudden. an unhinged email or an immediate, poorly thought out lie, which I've experienced as well with people. Just out and outright lying. A lie. An out and outright lie. What the narcissist doesn't, what they do not get, because they're so full of themselves, is that you see, they know that you know they're lying because you're there, you told them you're lying. They were there, so they know they're lying. And what they're missing is that you are pushing the person further away from that admiration that you so desperately want. Once a regular person, I'm just going to say, a person who's not a narcissist, once they see you as a liar, that's it. You can forget it. That's it. They're done. That person's done. Why? Because they're healthy. That's why. Because healthy people do not tolerate lies in their life. Now, at this point, if you're in a work situation, you probably will be planning an exit. Nothing. I'm going to continue to lie because you are nothing. And no one will believe you anyway. And so they will fart. And I know that sounds like an odd example, but it happens. Or they may do something else. They may do something else uncouth, unacceptable. Now, people who do that are signaling, they're clearly holding up a huge big whiteboard saying, you are nothing. So deal with it. They have no respect for you whatsoever. So the narcissist does that, not because, oh, they're pushed in a corner. It's bigger than that. It's narcissism, and narcissism is believing that you're better than other people. Now, I've had 2 mentors in my life, and I've, even as great and amazing, as wonderful as they both were, because they've both passed on now, I saw them as more experienced, without a doubt. That's why they were my mentors, more knowledgeable, all of that. And I was teachable. So I just soaked it all up. And they took me under their wings. I was very, very lucky and very blessed to have them in my life. I say 2, but 3 really. And that doesn't include family members who were mentors as well. None of them were narcissists. And I never saw them as better than me. I just saw them as more skilled, more knowledgeable. Absolutely, they were and are. You need to be able to acknowledge that with people. Some people will know more than you. Get over yourself. Some people will have more experience than you. Get over it. It shouldn't mean that your very existence means nothing. It doesn't mean anything. It just means that you've had different paths, you've had different training. So what? Why not learn from someone who knows more than you? Why not? Why not learn from them? But no, a female narcissist especially is unable to do that because they're deep in their psychology or psychopathy, because many of them go undiagnosed. And that's their excuse. They think, oh, I'm undiagnosed. So, and people who have been diagnosed with a personality disorder, specifically NPD, but let's just say personality disorder, they will use absolutely everything till the end because they think you're none the wiser. And if you let them, they will do it. And in the back, they're laughing. They're laughing at you because you're exhausting yourself to try and please them. And they're laughing. I have sat in rooms where that happened. You have to be able to discern when something is the way it is and be able to name it. And I can help you do that in my upcoming course, Behind the Toxic Workplace. And there's a community and a course, and I've already got lots of interest in it. It's going to be a private group. Let's move on to number 5. So the next one is, I'm very aware. When people talk about narcissistic supply, it literally is exactly that. If you can visualize it like a cup full, and then, if they get enough admiration, their cup keeps filling up. But they may have a bit of a dry week, dry day, and their cup is emptying out, and they will be seeking that hit, that supply. They need it. And so what they'll do, and it's an impulse, they think they know your pinpoint, your soft point, and that's who they'll go for and what they'll go for. And it's an impulse. They cannot stop themselves. They cannot stop themselves from correcting you in a chain of emails. They cannot stop themselves from trying to make themselves look like they know more than you in a chain of emails. They cannot stop themselves from pretending to like someone because they think you've got a problem with them, or vice versa. They've got a problem with you. And in the there's no way you could ever show that the two of you do get on, because they will work harder to make that not happen. And if someone is inexperienced, they just won't know the difference, that they're being used like that. So that is literally narcissistic supply. The narcissist needs its supply. It's like Dracula, and Dracula needs its supply, and Dracula will bite. And that's how the narcissist gets their supply. And then they're fine. I've watched them attack, and then all of a sudden they're okay. They are difficult people. Number 5, submission through attrition. Submission through attrition. So they don't just want respect. I talked about this earlier. A narcissist, a female narcissist especially, doesn't just want respect. They want you to submit. They need you to bow down. They need you to bow down. They use a slow drip of criticism to beat people down until the victim stops resisting. So the victim, what it will look like is eventually you'll get a resignation from somebody because they've had enough. But you may also get the person attacking back because they've had enough. Because let's face it, in somebody who's normal, in their normal life, people don't treat them that way. People aren't horrible to them that way. And so if you have some type of semblance, if you are quite balanced, you're quite happy at home, things are good, you've got good friends, you're okay, you've got decent relationships with your family and friends and all of that. If you're in love, all of those things make a difference. If you have a life outside of your work, you don't deal with that kind of thing. So if all of a sudden you're in a work situation where that's happening, eventually people bite back. Now, there's lots of ways to react, and I go through this in the course that I've built, and I'm not going to go through them now. You can look things up, but there's lots of ways to respond. But again, legally, you do have a right to respond however you wish to respond, because you're the one being attacked. You're the one being harassed. And any court would uphold you. So they don't want respect. They want you to submit. And this is a quest for admiration. The DSM Criterion 4 talks about this. But if they can't get genuine admiration, because you can fake it. Oh, you're so great at what you do. Oh, I cannot fake stuff like that. I just can't. But if you want to fake it, it's sometimes called play the game. They will settle for the submission that looks like what they want. They'll settle for it. You'll pay a price. But if you can fake it, and some people fake it to make it, then that's it. But if you are somebody like me who's genuine, who's authentic, although that word I'm a bit funny about, but because I believe we're always authentic, no matter what. This is you, no matter what day you are. Yes, you'll have a baseline, but that's you. You're always being authentic. You're always being who you are, no matter if it's off your baseline or what. That's a part of you. But if you can fake it, they'll settle for it. Good luck with that, because it's like a little bit of fakeness, and they'll want more and more and more. And they'll be walking around even more grandiose with their chest pushed out, because now they think, I've got them. They're submitting to me like all of my other cronies, like all the other dumb people who just don't get it, who don't know, who are not astute enough, smart enough to see that they're being used.
Never miss a show by clicking the subscribe button right now. Thank you for your support. You make this podcast possible. Now, back to the show.
Number 6, the mobbing architect. Now, I call this an architect because it turns forensic here. So the female narcissist is a master of workplace mobbing. This is specific for female narcissists. There are lots of case studies about this. I'll put a few in the notes. They manipulate a group of people. They don't care about one person. It needs to be a group for them. It'll be several people. They'll solicit, sometimes they solicit things in writing from people to say that they're a great person. Sometimes they will just solicit people, they'll go around separately and quietly to people to turn people against you. This is mobbing. They will manipulate a group into believing that they are the one being victimized by you. By the time you realize what's happening, everybody has deputized you. You've been deputized. You've been isolated now. Everybody believes that they need to be careful of you, except people who are smart and astute, except people who don't buy the manipulation, except for people who have experience maybe working in mental health. Sometimes people know and can see through people's psychology, and they can see that that person is being manipulative. They can't be changed. But even sometimes they will play the game just to get along or because they need the job. They'll play along as well. This is mobbing. They use projective identification. Now, this is something else people get so wrong. So wrong. People talk about projection all the time and haven't got a clue. So people can often project their own malice, their hate, their envy onto you so effectively that others believe it. Others will start to believe it. So using mutual friends or anyone in proximity, anyone you might speak to, they'll get to them to try and get to you so that the person does their dirty work. So projective identification is when people hold on to stuff, horrible stuff about themselves, about their lives. And because it's enticed such malice within them, so the way I like to explain it is it looks murky. It's like horrible, disgusting, murky stuff inside of them. And it's so ugly, so disgusting, so awful, so horrible that they cannot hold on to it. They see it, they identify it, they know it's there. It's horrible, horrible, horrible. And it's so bad, so horrible, so painful that they need to get rid of it. And they will project it. It's literally projectile. They projectile it onto other people because it's so disgusting that they cannot hold on to it. They can't bear the disgustingness of themselves, that they need to get rid of it onto somebody else. That is projective identification. They identify with whatever it is that they're sensing, feeling, seeing within themselves. It's so horrible that they need to get rid of it. Essentially, it's a defense. The person just wants to, we want to say you can't disown your feelings, but they're unbearable for the person. Unbearable. They're disgusting feelings, horrible. And they need to get rid of it. So they'll act it out. They'll act it out, and that's the projection. But as with all projectile, it goes somewhere, and it will go on to you. It will clearly go on to you. So projective identification, it can be a little bit complicated. I mean, in groups, you see it all the time. But if someone is a narcissist and they're bully and they're mobbing, then other people will always be looking for something bad about you. Let them do whatever they want. You know who you are. When you walk in the door, you know who you are. Let's go on to number 7. This is the pleasure of passive bystanders. So I've talked about this before, and one of the most chilling traits, especially in a female narcissist, is the Schadenfreude effect. This is taking pleasure in watching others do nothing while they attack you. Taking pleasure in watching others do absolutely nothing whilst they attack you. And they find validation in this bystander effect. If no one steps in to help you, the narcissist interprets that silence as a vote of confidence in her power. They see you not acting as, yes, carry on with your attacks. Carry on, carry on, carry on. Because they think that they're agreeing with them. And they are. And when you bystand and do nothing, you are agreeing. You are absolutely agreeing with them. And this bystander effect is called Schadenfreude. It's just taking pleasure in watching others do nothing whilst you're being attacked. And the narcissist will be looking for validation in that. And that's why and how systemic toxic environments thrive. That's exactly how they thrive, because a healthy environment will stop it in its tracks. A healthy environment will pull someone aside and say, I notice you're doing that. It's not conducive to how we work here. But a very toxic culture and work environment will not do that. No one will step in and do anything. They will take pleasure in watching someone attack somebody else. And that is disappointing. It's discouraging. It is really disturbing, because sometimes you're watching people in prestigious positions do exactly that. And what they don't realize, and here is the kicker, what they don't realize is that the narcissist sees them as weak. Not just, that's approval. They don't just see that. That's their supply being met. That's a narcissistic supply being met. That's fine. For the narcissist, that's normal. But what they're also seeing is that they see you as ignorant and weak and stupid and all of those things, because you sit back and do nothing. If you were to stand up and say, what? That wasn't right, or don't do that, or whatever. If you were to challenge them in your position, it would not, you think that it's going to save the victim. The victim's already been harmed. If you've gotten to that point, the damage is done. You've already harmed that person. You, because as a bystander, you've done nothing. You are part of that harm. You have harmed them. You have. And because you continue to do it, that means you're continuing to harm the person. So you are harming them, but the narcissist sees you as weak. That's the kicker. You think, I don't want to get involved. I don't want to get involved, or whatever you're thinking. You're probably not thinking. Maybe you're scared of the narcissist as well. Maybe it's a cultural thing where you'll just go with them just because. Maybe it's systemic where you'll just go with it just because. But the narcissist does not see you any differently or great or wonderful. They see you as weak and ignorant and stupid. They see you as having no backbone. You think they don't want to be challenged, but actually, if they were challenged, no, you're right, they wouldn't like it, but they wouldn't see you as weak, and they see you as weak. And that's why they've been manipulating you for all this time. It is shocking that people do not see this. And if you are seeing it and you're doing nothing about it, then that says a lot for you. The other thing to watch out for just under this is the people who try manipulate the victim as well. So there'll be people who see what's going on, who absolutely 100% know that this person's being harassed and bullied. They will see it, see it, see it. They'll know it. They'll know it. They'll know it. But what they will also do, because remember, they've sat around and done nothing as well, what they will do is try and get closer to the victim and try and offload on them all of their own stuff and how they've been harassed or bullied or treated. And they will start telling you stuff about the powers that be. And if you're a victim, it's the last thing you want to be dealing with. You don't want to know. You don't want to know. It's none of your business. In fact, you couldn't care less. You're dealing with harm. You're being harmed. You're being re-traumatized. Every day that the narcissist has a go at you, it's re-traumatizing. And you may think, oh, that person's so nice. They're in a caring profession. They're a doctor. They're a lawyer. They're a nurse. They're this, they're that. I only need to refer you to the news or court cases. Let's move on to number 8. So what the narcissist will do is weaponize vulnerability. So if you are seen as vulnerable, now this is the stupidity of a narcissist. There's no other word for it. The stupidity of a narcissist is that they believe because you're seen to be a nice person, a decent person, you may be seen as a spiritual person. They hate that. They absolutely hate that. This is covert. This is the covert part and the vulnerable aspect. So the narcissist will use all sorts of things. Tragedies, personal tragedies, world events to evade accountability. If you call them out on a lie, I touched upon this earlier, they'll suddenly be ill. They'll suddenly have a family emergency. And that makes you the bully for bringing up the truth. This is covert. And they're using that they are the vulnerable person when actually they're attacking a victim every day. A narcissist, this is how you know they are a narcissist too, but you'll have the checklist, it'll be linked below, will use everything in their power to isolate people, to talk about the victim and to turn them against them because they need to be seen as the person who knows it all. They need to be seen to know the most. Now, let's look at it fairly here. If you've worked in an environment for 50 years, then you may know everything there is to know about working in that environment. But that doesn't mean you know everything there is to know about that doesn't mean you know everything about nursing. So this is the covert vulnerable part where people say, oh, everybody's against me, everybody hates me, everybody's against me, and all of that. This is positioning themselves as the victim, like everybody's against them, when actually they're the ones doing the attacking. Number 9 is relational sabotage. And this is big. The female narcissist will poison the well in your other relationships. So this is linked to what we talked before. But if she sees you getting close to someone, they will subtly plant seeds of doubt about your character, your work. I've seen that happen. They need to be the gatekeeper of your social success. Socially, they care about your positioning. They really care about it. So they'll be looking you up and researching things, and they want to see who you're following and all that stuff. When they need to realize that a lot of your stuff will be private, and whatever's public is public for a reason. It's nothing to do with you. Your other stuff will be private that they'll never get to. They'll never get it. So this is relational. They want to see your relationships fail. They want to see you have no friends, be isolated in your work so that you can leave. They do not want you to win. They want you out. That's how dire a narcissist is. That's how dire they are. And they will use everything in their power to get that to happen. Number 10, the chronic need for scapegoating. A female narcissist cannot function without a villain. I've touched upon this before. They need a villain. It's key to their very existence. They must be a victim. If things are going well, she will invent a conflict. This maintains her status as the hero or the survivor. So they need to be in some position of saving the world or saving this or saving that. In her narrative, there's always someone trying to bring her down. The system is against her. So the female narcissist needs a villain. It's key to their very existence. So we have to talk about why your coworkers or your friends or some of your family sit back and watch and do nothing. It's not always because they are bad people or they just don't care. It is because the narcissist is a master of fear and confusion. They fear becoming the next target. This is the person. These are the people who sit back. They don't want to be attacked by the narcissist, so they will happily sit back and do nothing. For the victim will have absolutely no respect for them. But they are confused by the narcissist's mask of kindness. It is a mask. And finally, they suffer from diffusion of responsibility. This is something that we say, or a term we use in psychology, when they're thinking, surely, if they were that bad, then somebody would have stepped in by now. Certainly, somebody of some authority would have done something by now. And understanding this helps you realize that it's not just you against her. It's a systemic failure that she's engineered. And this is why keeping narcissists on is dangerous. It is like a virus that wipes people out. Healthy people won't be able to stay comfortably. Sometimes they have to stay because of commitments, but your best bet to get as far away from the narcissist as you can. Dealing with this is exhausting, but seeing the pattern is the first step toward freedom. And if you recognize any of these 10 signs in your life, you definitely need a strategy. So head to the link in my description to get the narcissistic or narcissist detection checklist. It's there. The link is there. Start documenting. Start protecting your energy. And most importantly, stop playing the game that she designed. Don't bow down. Don't submit. And some people have said to me in working with them, oh, I just do it to have an easy life. Well, how's that working for you? It's not an easy life. You're not having an easy life. If this deep dive was helpful, please share it with one person who might be struggling in silence. This is something that many people struggle from right now. Subscribe for more forensic insights into the psychology of manipulation. And until next time, I will see you then.